It is 1991, August 30th in Tokyo. And this guy, what's his name? Lewis, Carl Lewis. This guy has not lost any single long jump in the past 10 years. He's really, really, really good. So we're in 1991, Tokyo, and it's going down. Who is competing with him? A guy by the name Mike Powell, right? And they're going head to head. So they do a couple of jumps. Like the first jump, Lewis is actually really doing good. But then, when we're thinking about long jump, you know what long jump is? This is long jump, right? So remember, we're still in Tokyo, right? He actually jumps really well, but we have to consider the wind, right? And Lewis, our main guy here, Carl Lewis, jumps at it, but the wind is 2.9. So wind is measured by at 2 meters at meters per second, and you don't want a scenario where the wind is more than 2 meters per second pushing you, right? They don't care if it's pushing from the side or from in front of you, but if it's pushing behind you, above 2, it's not considered. So he jumps the very, very best. What distance? That is 8.91 meters. Let me put a picture of what 8.91 meters is. I'll get you another board here. So let's assume this is a vehicle. Can I get shapes? Yes. That is a vehicle. What's the average size of a vehicle? It's around 4.2 meters. Around 4.2 meters. This dude, if I were to click on this, copy and paste. This dude jumped over 2 vehicles. Like, he ran and then jumped over freaking 2 vehicles. Sometimes like we watch it on TV and you're like, oh, yeah, he jumped and he won. This is 2 vehicles. Can you even jump your vehicle if you think about it? 2 over, like, this is 8.91 meters, right? Almost 9 meters. Actually, we might as well add another piece of a vehicle in front of it so that he actually jumps. This is just your average vehicle, your saloon. If this were GTIs, by the way, VW GTI, it's probably 3 of them. Fully jumped 3 of them. Anyway, so he actually jumps really, really well, but the wind is 2.9 meters per second. So if it is above 2, because this is above 2, he actually gets this is not considered. But then what happens? Mike Powell is also competing in the same competition here in Tokyo. Dude jumps 8.95 meters. Yes, it's actually more than Carl Lewis, right? Our guy here, he's still amazing, but Mike Powell outdoes him like very, very well. And he actually, the wind for him, 0.3. What do you think about that? 0.3 meters per second. So he gets the world record. So here we are thinking about world record in a legal way. Like a legal way, it means that all conditions have been measured correctly, and that's how he got it. But then, since Mike Powell, I'll show you the stats here. Since Mike Powell, which is in, what is that? 1991. How many years has it been? 35 years. Nobody has beat it. And I have some suspicions. So we are going to look into a few of my suspicions, and then we see, like, what is the reason why, like, we as humans, we haven't been able to beat this, Okay. Suspicion number one, are we getting slower or faster, right? Because like we could be some of our best could have already lived before us, you know. So this is I'll use this. So there is a section here that you need to run. So this is where you run, right? And you run as fast as you can. Like, go for it. Fully go for it. And then there is a board here, right? And this is where majority of fouls are actually gotten bad. The idea is you are supposed to jump all the way. And where you land, that's where where we start counting. Now, if you think about speed, this sport is based on sprinting, because like if we look at the same year, 1991, right? This year, Mike Powell had just won 4 days before this race, this jump. He had already won. He's beaten the record for like the 100-meter dash, right? Full world record. He's beaten that. But then we come to our sport here, and yeah, he's beaten by so Carl Lewis has already done the world record, but he's beaten by Mike Powell, right? Fully beaten by Mike Powell. So like the idea is this: we can say it's directly correlated to, if you can sprint as fast as you can, then the technique is all about jumping, and you want to jump as far as you can. So if you jump, you're good. So have people been running faster? Because if we have not beaten this since 1981, what has been happening to running? Have people been improving, or we're just slow? We're just the same. Okay. We will use this, right? If you look at the top 25, look, all the years, like this is 2009, 2008. We are just beating records, fully improving all through. But when you look at this, we're stuck in 1981. So like speed is not the issue. Like people can actually run, and they have been improving, and we've been shaving like seconds and beating world records. But when it comes to long jump, we are not doing it. So like definitely it's not the speed. So when you think about it, maybe talent left, like the best of the best have left, and this could have an idea. So like this guy, what's his name? Jarion Lawson, right? Jarion Lawson is an amazing guy. Let me show you who he is. I'll probably just open it. Jarion Lawson. This dude in 2026, he gets to win 4 things, right? He does the 100 meters, he does the 200 meters, and he wins both of them. So he does the 100 meters, he does the 200 meters. So like the idea of talent going away is not there, fully not there, because like he is that good. So like talent is not going away. So the next culprit, which I think is the biggest culprit, is the board. I'll show you what the board is. This is the board, right? So when somebody jumps, like they have to jump from here. So say you jump from here, right? You see this distance? This distance that you left, because you're not supposed to step on this. This distance that you left, it means that is not counted. So you jump. This is where you jump from. Let's put a line there. That's where you jump from, right? And you jump all the way there. Where they'll start measuring, that's where they'll start measuring. They won't consider this, right? And this is the one thing that has been shaving a lot of points from people. Because if you step within here, right, you could be disqualified. So people are playing it safe. And when people play it safe, they are trying to just be closest to this line, right? But they don't want to get fouled. So in 2015, right, the sport almost blinked, right? What did they decide? They proposed to add, because this is 20 meters, to make it like around 40 meters, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So like this area, so that when you jump from here, say you jumped from here, we're measuring the distance from where your leg left, right, to where you landed. And where you land really matters, because like the part of your body that is the last bit, that is what is counted. So if you actually did among the best jumps, then accidentally one of your fingers touched behind you, we're counting to the last body part touch on the sand. So you want a scenario where, like, that's why when you look at them jump, they always put their hands forward, so that the only thing that is behind them is their bum, and that's it. And sometimes they even turn themselves. So anyway, so this is the board, and I suspect this is the biggest issue, because majority of fouls are there. And if this is fixed, I'll tell you why it's not fixed yet. But if this is fixed, solves it. Because like, trust you me, people who have been losing 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters jumping, because this is a sport where like 2 centimeters just matters. You beat the next person with just 2 centimeters. Like if we go back to, remember, 1991, the difference between Powell and Lewis was how many? 20 centimeters? Actually, no. No, it was 4 centimeters. 4 freaking centimeters, the difference between Carl Lewis and Mike Powell, which Mike Powell won. So this is the solution that is being proposed. So like the board, according to me, culprit. This is actually one of the culprits. And then the other thing, the next thing is wind. And I'm telling you, wind is the most interesting thing in this bit. So look at this. This is how they measure wind, right? And I will probably move myself there. This is how wind is measured. And the gauge, an anemometer, is here, right? And you have been running. By the time you reach here, the gauge starts. It starts measuring, right? So you're running, and it gauges for 5 seconds and does the average, right? So by the time you're approaching here, we kind of know the wind that you had, right? So you're approaching here, we know the wind that you had. The problem is, if wind was blowing this way, right? It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. Like where the wind was blowing from, like if wind was, hold on. If wind was blowing this way, it doesn't matter. Also, this gauge measures here. We're not measuring where this person is running. That's the other issue. We're not measuring where this person is running. So the wind could be different here from here, right? And here's the craziest part. So remember Powell? He ran like in 1992. He actually does an amazing jump. His jump is 8.99 meters, right? What was the wind? 4.4 meters per second. So it's not eligible. We go to Pedro. So there's a guy called Pedroso. In 1995, he jumps 8.96 meters. What is the wind? 1.2. But guess what happens? What happens around 2 months later? 2 months later, they the people who are watching this competition figure out that somebody was standing here. Somebody was standing here. So the measurement of the 1.2, somebody was standing here. It was no longer going to be considered. So the entire his record gets annulled, just like that, because the reading, like everything was legal, but when they figured out somebody was standing here, he could have messed up with the measurement of the wind. Hence, the 1.2 doesn't count. Fully doesn't count. Okay, so wind is suspect, but wind wouldn't like prevent everybody from winning, because like if you think about it, the competition is in different places, different times. We can't be blaming just that one thing that is never consistent to be like the barrier. The other thing is altitude. So yes, we can have a board here. So if, yes, let's clear this. So if you are running, that's my small hill there, and let's put myself there. So if you are running, right, if the jump was happening somewhere here, compare that to it happening here. The amount of air resistance here is more than the amount of air resistance here. So the higher you go, the less air, right? The less air resistance. So if you actually look at competition in Mexico City in 1968, there's a dude called Bob Beamon. Let me see if I have Bob Beamon for you. I don't have his picture, but like I can get you his picture. This is Bob Beamon. Bob Beamon. This is him. This is in 1968. This dude is amazing. What does he do? Remember, Mexico City is like 2,240 meters. Where is our board? It's somewhere there. 2,240 meters above sea level, right? He does an amazing jump. So this is way before Mike Powell. So remember this chart? This is this guy, Bob Beamon, when he does it in Mexico City. Less wind resistance, all that. He does an amazing jump. And then, if you actually think about it, we come back here. When we are measuring, as you jump, right, there's a rail somewhere here. And that rail will try and measure the distance that you jumped. This dude jumped so far, right? He jumps an extra 55 centimeters from the last record. He's that good. And what does the rail that actually measures do? It breaks, because there's a line that goes, it couldn't measure like his jump. So what happens? They actually bring a rod and actually do full measurement, like physical measurements and all that. And they tell him, oh yeah, you jumped by an extra 55 centimeters. Dude doesn't understand metric, you know? So they convert it to feet, and he's mind blown. Like his legs actually start shaking and all that. He's fully shocked. So Bob Beamon breaks the record. But according to me, the height they were on, like up here, that also mattered. Because yes, the wind for him was 2.0 on the dot. So we cannot say that, hey, he had too much wind. But the altitude, that altitude definitely played a role. So what else? So we've discussed speed. People are actually improving speed. We've discussed what like are people like, are we losing talent? No, we're not losing talent. Wind, altitude, could it be doping? Now, this is kind of a sensitive topic, right? Really sensitive. But when you look at women's long jump, right? There's this lady. Her name is Galina Chistiakova. Uh, she did her jump. When did she do her jump? Let me see. Uh, this is 1988, and her jump is 7.52 meters. It has never been beaten ever since, right? But this is also during the Soviet Union. I'm not saying that this is actually what was happening, right? But like this is during the Soviet Union. Like the tests were not good, and also the equipment, yeah, not really standardized. So take what you may, but like her record has not been beaten, right? But also on the other side, like the ideas of doping and all that, there's an interesting story. So you remember the guy who won in 2016? What was his name? Jarian Lawson. This dude, right? He won 100 meters and 200 meters. In 2018, he gets disqualified for 19 months, right? Why? They say that when they tested his blood, it was contaminated with, it had something. What is the name of this drug? Let me look for it. It's called apitren. Let me just paste it for you. This is it. So it was found in his blood like 2 months later. So 2 months later, what do they say? He's disqualified, and he's disqualified for 19 months. Like, so for nearly 19 months, American jumper and sprinter Jerian Lawson went into practice each day, not knowing when he will compete again, as he appealed a lengthy ban after eating what he maintained was contaminated meat. Right. So the story is he went to a restaurant, the meat was contaminated. This was the day before. They take the blood test, and all of a sudden they're like, yo, I think you tested positive for this, and you're disqualified for the next 19 months. Dude had the receipt for the restaurant and all that, but this happened 2 months later. So because it's happening 2 months later, what happens? It means that they cannot go back to the restaurant and actually check, was the meat contaminated. It's 2 months later. You know, restaurants are fast business. Yes. So they never get to prove that. And also they I think the fact that he's back, the way the case went, it was turned down, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So that is Jarian Lawson. So going back to the time the sport almost blinked. So remember when I was talking about this, like us being able to change this distance? 2015, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. I'm not sure if it is 2015, but the idea was to replace this 20-meter zone, right, with a 40-meter zone, right? And then you can jump from anywhere here. And like we were saying, the distance is measured. And once the distance is measured from where you jumped to where your foot left off to where you landed, compared to this not being considered, and then you jump just from there. So this, according to me, is an amazing change, because there are so many fouls that happen when people jump from here. Like a third to two-thirds of the entire jumps are always fouls. Why? Because people like are not able like to step at the right place at the right place as they are sprinting all the way in order to be able to jump. So by changing this, we'll change the sport better, because the 10 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 2 centimeters that can actually make a difference here, you can be able to get them if we actually measured from where your foot left off. So what was the outcome? The outcome is actually crazy. So, you remember our man Carl Lewis? Our man Carl Lewis? This dude was like, is this April Fool's? Are we actually going to implement this? There is no way. And many other people in the sport who had been competing actually argued against it. So when they argued against it, this idea, which is, according to me, amazing idea, scrapped off indefinitely. So if we actually think about it, all the things that we've discussed, the only way we are going to beat Mike Powell, where is Mike Powell? Mike Powell is if this rule changes. This is the only thing that I see allowing us to beat him. Without this, because remember, Mike Powell, when did he do it? He ran his in 1991. The rules were different at that time compared to now. The instruments were different at that time compared to now. So the only way I suspect that we can beat this is if we change this. Because we're getting faster, for sure, right? We're getting better at detecting like drugs and all that, like to the point that if you ate meat yesterday, we're able to detect a few things in the food, all that. Like, we have gotten so good. But the biggest problem, I think it's this. I think it's this. So I guess that's what I learned today. That I saw a video on Mike Powell doing his jump, and I was like, yo, this is an interesting sport. I should actually look into it. And I've learned so much about long jumps today, which was fun. So it's fun sharing with you. Subscribe if you're thinking of something I should discuss or I should look into. Just put it in the comments and I'll definitely look into it. See you next time. Cheers.